Today's class will focus, as I said, on backside of the body. We'll strengthen and stretch glutes, hips, calves, hamstrings, kind of focusing on that, a little bit of back. So props again that you may want to include today are either blocks or books, bolster or blankets, and a strap. May use some, may use none, but just want to have them nearby if you like to have them available. As usual, I like to begin by getting us in the present moment. So find a way that gives you an aligned spine, whether that be in a chair or on the mat. And as you kind of just tune into that, imagine that you're viewing yourself from the side and have the ears stacked over the shoulders and the shoulders stacked over the hips. Your belly drawn in to support the low back. And make sure that it's broad across the upper back, not too rounded, not too arched, and that your chin is parallel to the floor. Hands wherever you'd like them. I kind of use my knees to help leverage me into supporting that aligned spine. And then feel free to soften your eyes or even close your eyes. As you begin to scan the body in places where you can relax, that are holding tension. Softening through the face and through the heart. Opening up to possibility and grace. Checking in with the rhythm of your own breath. And starting to establish a smooth rhythm both in and out through the nose. You can use your breath as an anchor to the present moment so that this class becomes yoga and not just exercise. Be present. If you'd like to set an intention for today's class, and pull up something short and simple or a single word such as grace or joy. Just imagine that you're using your breath to draw from that infinite source. As you exhale, letting it move into every cell of your body. To seal that intention, you could bring the palms together at heart center and gently draw the chin in and down towards the throat. And then gently lift your head, softly open your eyes and release the hands down as we make our way into hands and knees. Oh, let's see, we've already have company in the room. May or may not get any of my pets in here. So I do like to start with a little cat-cow, especially since we are going to be doing some for the back body. So hands and knees, shoulders over wrists. I'm going to have my toes untucked today, outer ankles lifting, and just soften to the elbows enough so that you're not pressing into the creases. Beginning from that solid, strong core, on your next breath in, begin to lift the gaze and the tailbone. Feel the belly drop and the shoulder blades move closer together. And as you exhale, reverse that. Draw the chin in towards your chest, spread across the shoulder blades, scoop your tailbone under, and looking back at your thighs. On your inhale again, move slowly through neutral and into back extension for cow. And as you exhale, draw the belly in and use it to help push the air out as you round into your Halloween cat. We'll do that just a couple more times with your own breath. And then you can come back to your neutral position. And Move into puppy dog from here. So we will tuck the toes under, walk the hands forward, and start to allow your chest and chin to sink down towards the earth. Staying here and slowly sinking with each exhalation. Next inhale, press to the fingertips, coming back up, walking the hands back underneath the shoulders. Keeping your left leg exactly how it is, extend your your right leg behind you, toes on the ground. Notice that right now your hips are level, your back is strong, core engaged. Maintain that same position by just simply lifting the right leg off the floor. Powerfully reach through the heel, toes towards the earth, strong, powerful leg. And as you exhale, bring that elbow over towards your, or bring that knee over towards your right elbow, squeezing the side body. Inhale as you reach behind you, press out through the sole of your foot. And exhale again, you're going to bring that knee in towards the elbow, squeezing that side body. Inhale, stretch it out. And exhale that knee to the mat. Repeating on the other side, left leg behind, powerful, strong leg before you even lift. And then when you do, press through the sole of your left foot. Stay there for your inhale, keep the belly drawn in. And exhale, bring the knee over towards the left elbow, squeezing the side body. Inhale, reaching behind. Exhale, squeeze that side body. Inhale again, reach behind. And exhale, back to the mat. Next time, we're going to do a little something different with a stretch. So take your right leg and extend it out to the right. I'm going to show you with my left leg, but so I've got straight out from the hip, outer edge of the foot pressing into the mat. And we're moving into a modified puppy dog from here. So with that leg out, if you'd like to, you can start to walk the hands forward, hips stay high. And maybe that foot slides out to the right a little bit more, getting a little sensation in the right inner thigh. You can stay right there or lift the chest away and slide the right arm underneath your body over to the left, placing your right ear on the mat. So wherever you are, just take a few rounds of breath, breathing some space into any areas where you notice tightness. Pressing through the left fingertips as you inhale, pressing back up. And bring the hands underneath your shoulders and the right knee back underneath your right hip. We'll do the same thing on the opposite side. So left leg extends straight out from the hips and not back, not too far forward. Outer edge of the foot pressing into the mat. You can stay right there or start to slide that foot out a little bit more as you walk the hands forward, hips stay high for variation on puppy dog. You can stay right there or take your left arm and slide it underneath the right, bringing the left upper arm and left ear to the mat. Still breathing, keeping your mind present with what sensations you notice on your breath. And then press through the right hand to lift your body away from the mat. Walk the hands underneath your shoulders and the knee back underneath your left hip. Tuck the toes under, lift the knees and just hold for a moment. Engage the core. Check that your belly is not sinking, your shoulder blades are spread apart, and your gaze is to the mat. If you want to, you just kind of shift forward and back just a couple of times, noticing the power and strength of your core. And then back to that neutral. Start to lift the hips up and back into a modified downward facing dog. I'm going to keep my knees bent and heels off the mat as I focus on lengthening spine, shaking out the head and relaxing through shoulders. And then if you'd like to, pedal it out a little bit. So bring the left knee a little straighter, that heel to the mat, and then switch sides. And if you'd like to, go back and forth once or twice. And then you may return to either knees bent, heels up, or if you're able to keep that aligned spine with knees straight, heels down, you can take that position. Option of rolling and spinning the heels to the right to get a little slightly different stretch. Hips are going to move as well. Could feel a stretch along the left torso, outside of your upper back. And then if you're there, you can come back to center and rotate heels over to the left and shift the hips that way a bit. And then back to center. We'll bend the knees, look towards the hands, and walk the feet forward till they are between the hands, hip width apart, and release into a gentle forward fold, head heavy, knees bent. Wiggle the toes, and then relax them to the mat, pressing through all four corners of each foot with arch lifting. Begin to drop the hips a bit more, keeping them back. The knees don't pass toes, and open the arms out to the side like airplane wings. You're still gazing at the floor, keeping and finding that aligned spine as your tailbone reaches behind you. Draw the belly in and use that powerful core to lift the chest away from the thighs as you take the knees and hips straight. Bring the arms overhead, maybe a slight arch, and then hands to heart center. Great. Inhale, reach up with both arms, maybe a slight arch. Exhale, open the arms wide, bend the knees if you need to keep that aligned spine and hinge at the hips, full forward fold, top of the head towards the mat. Inhale into your expression of a halfway lift. Could slide the hands up the thighs, and knees could certainly be bent as mine are. And then exhale, just fold back into your full forward fold. Inhale, bend the knees, drop the hips, open the arms out to the side. And as you inhale, sweep the arms up and forward and let them pull you up to standing. Exhaling, hands to heart. Again, inhale, reach up with the arms. Exhale, arms to the side, bend the knees, hinge from the hips, full forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, bend the knees quite a bit. We're going to take it into a variation on chair pose, Utkatasana. And check that your chest is not towards the floor, but more towards the wall in front of you. Knees are not passing toes, and thighs are parallel to the floor or less than parallel. So you could be up higher, keeping the shoulders back. Knees should, imagine that you're squeezing a block between your knees. So knees are in line with hips and ankles in terms of distance apart. Couple more breaths here. Just feel that powerful strength of your muscles and the thighs and glutes. And then use the arms to reach up and pull you all the way up to standing. Exhaling, hands to heart. Now you can just move, as we did before, into that forward fold. Option of crossing your right foot in front of the left. And you can kind of look down, having the toes pointing towards the short front edge of your mat. And we'll do that forward fold. This is going to create a little bit of a stretch in the side leg and up into the hip. Careful with balance. You could always use a wall. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, open the arms to the side. Again, you could bend the knees a little bit if you need to. You could place your hands on the floor or a block as you move into that forward fold. So with that right foot in front, you may feel a little bit more along the outside of your left thigh. Keep the head heavy and just breathe into whatever you notice, creating space, letting that stuck energy be free to move around. Wiggle the toes. Next inhale, so again, if you need to, you can bend the knees a little bit. Try to come strongly up through the body. You could also reverse roll up. And exhale, hands to heart, uncross the feet. Realign the toes. And if you did that side, then you'll cross the left foot over in front of the right this time, or you'll keep them as they were and we'll just do another forward fold. Okay. 10 toes pointing towards the front edge of your mat as you inhale, reach up. Exhale, soften these if you need to. Strong, powerful spine as you fold forward. Relax the shoulders and head and just breathe. Again, notice where you feel it. And if there's any difference on this side, just noticing without judgment. Is it in a different place, different intensity? And with toes relaxed, soften the knees a bit more. And you can either reverse roll or strongly use your core to bring yourself up to standing. Hands to heart, uncrossing the feet. To Tadasana. Moving through a partial sun salutation just to get us in position for our next pose. Inhale, reach up through the arms, maybe a slight arch if you'd like. Exhale, strong core, folding forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, take the hands flat as you step back to your plank pose, either full plank or modified plank. Remaining as you are with a powerful core, pressing back through the heels if your knees are up. Just breathing into that space. Next, inhale, bring yourself forward into a modified upward facing dog. You can also do this from knees as we did last week. And then exhale, shift back to plank and start lifting the hips up and back. Feel free to bend those knees to keep that spine long and aligned, the most important part, more important than getting heels down and knees straight. From downward facing dog, on your inhale, lift the right leg up high to the sky and stay here for a moment. And then bend that right knee. Allow that right foot to kind of dangle over the left side of your body. So the right knee is kind of pointing to the sky. You might feel a slight twist in the body. And if you want to, you can circle out that right ankle, wiggle the toes. And then straighten the right knee, square your hips back to the mat, and bring that right foot all the way forward between your hands. Remember to use whatever you need to get it up there between your hands, and release the back knee to the mat. Untuck the back toes. You can place your left hand flat and your right hand comes to the inside of your right knee, and you'll just allow that foot to move to the outer edge as you allow your hand to kind of press the knee out to the side. So knees kind of pressing out, and I'll show you from the front. Pressing that knee gently out to the side, not forcing it, outer blade of the foot. This is JoJo. My orange kitty might come in shortly. If you have that knee pressed out, you could also slightly twist to the right. Remember, I kind of just always add on, so you can make it fit where you are in terms of heat, challenge, intensity, however you want to phrase it. And then bring that foot back to the front. One hand on each side, tuck the back toes under and lift the back knee. And then just kind of rock forward and back a couple of times here. And take the right leg back, return to your downward facing dog. Same thing, other side. So inhale, begin with lifting just the left leg high to the sky. And then bend the left knee and start to open up. So the knee points to the sky, the foot dangles over the right side of the body. And if you want to circle out the left ankle or wiggle those toes, feel free to do that. Straighten the left knee, square the hips back to the mat. And bring that foot all the way forward between your hands, taking it there if you need to. Take a moment to lengthen through the back leg and the torso, and then exhale, right knee to the mat, untuck the toes. Right hand goes flat, left hand to the inside of the left knee as you allow the foot to roll to the outer blade and gently pressing into the inner thigh, creating a bit of a stretch around the hip musculature. Option of looking back over that left shoulder. Okay, foot is flat, one hand on each side, tuck the right toes under, lift the back knee, return to downward dog. Inhale, right leg high to the sky. Exhale, bring the foot all the way forward between the hands. Gonna move into a lunge this time. Knee could be down. Hands start at heart to stack shoulders over hips and straight through the back knee if it's off the mat. Option of reaching the fingertips to the sky, shoulders stay down, gaze slightly up. And could bend the elbows, squeeze the elbows back. Inhale, palms face each other above the head. Exhale, hands back to the mat. Walk that right foot over to the right a little bit. Bring the right hand to the inside. Again, back knee could be down for this. And see if you want to bring the forearms a little closer to the mat. Could look like this. Head relaxed. Back knee could be up. You could instead take the right arm underneath the right thigh. You could take both arms off the mat. Remember, multi-level class here, just giving lots of options. Wherever you are with that, take your hands back onto the mat, straighten the elbows, and take the right foot back, downward facing dog. Other side, left leg high. Exhale, bring it to the outside of your left arm, left hand. Could have the knee down. Option of bringing the forearms down. Take the time to notice what you're feeling emotionally, physically. Option of taking the left arm under the left thigh, right arm out to the side. Hands press back into the mat. Left foot goes back, downward facing dog. Take one more full breath there and exhale everything out. On your inhale, look between the hands and bring the feet forward into a halfway lift. Exhaling, chin towards the shins, Uttanasana, full forward fold. Inhale, safely come all the way up to standing. And exhale, hands to heart. Okay. Gonna turn to face the long edge of your mat and take the legs, not super wide yet. Toes are gonna spin out, heels are in. I'm gonna be doing goddess pose. So when you start to move into this, you wanna really check that your knees move over the toes. So with hands at heart center, inhale, reach up to the sky. Exhale, bend into the elbows, bend into the knees. Elbows pull back, knees pull back. You don't want the knees in more than your toes. Okay, so whatever you gotta do to make that happen. You can even use your hands to push them wide, holding this position, breathing into the power of your legs. Inhale, reach up, straighten elbows and legs. Exhale, bend in again. And hold it, relax the toes and breathe. Good. Inhale, straighten, reach up. And exhale, hands to heart. Gonna widen our stance just a little bit more and then rotate our body towards the right. Back foot's gonna come to the left slightly, angled in, front toes towards the front edge of your mat. There should be enough space, like railroad tracks, between the feet that you can square your hips forward without any struggle. So you don't want the foot lined up behind your right, you want it over to the side. Okay. From there, we're going to start bending into the front knee. You could even pivot to the ball of your foot and wiggle it back as we come into a high lunge. You can keep the hands on the hips here for a moment just to steady yourself. Option is spinning that back heel down and pressing into the outer blade of the foot, more like warrior A, warrior one position. Front heel lined up with the back heel. Encourage but don't force that left hip forward. And the hands can be at heart or up by the ears. Feet should be weighted evenly into the earth. So right foot and left foot should feel equal amount of weight down through them. Check that knees not gliding in. Bring hands to heart and then back to hips. Going to take that back foot in just a little bit and straighten both legs. So still got that foot over, squaring to the front edge of my mat. Inhale, reach the arms out to the side. And as you exhale, take the hands behind you. You could hold wrist, you could hold elbows, or you could take the palms together, work the fingers up your back into reverse prayer. The focus here today is more on the legs, so I don't mind where your hands are, but keep both legs straight and core engaged. So spine stays aligned, we're hinging at that front right hip and starting to fold forward over that straight right leg. Make sure you're not locked into feeling pain in the back of your right knee. When you feel your first point of resistance, you can pause there and just breathe. If your hands are in prayer, keep the elbows towards the sky, front of the shoulders away from the earth. You can continue to fold forward. Move your attention up the front of your right thigh to that crease and encourage it towards the back so the hips are more squared. Breathe into the back of that right leg. You should feel this all the way up and down the hamstring and calf. Squeeze the shoulder blades together and use the core as you inhale, come all the way up. Release the hands, feel the wrists. Hands back to waist. We're going to make a quarter turn towards the long edge of our mat. We'll pause here. Take the legs a little wider. Heels out more than toes. Toes in, heels out, hands at the hip or waist. On an inhale, reach out through the fingertips for Prasrita Padottanasana. Exhale, chest comes forward, hinging at the hips, and release the hands. They could be to blocks, they could be to the floor. On your next inhale, bring the chest away from the floor, halfway lift. And stay there for a moment, checking that your core is engaged, your thighs are strong, your tailbone reaching up and back. And on your next exhale, if you'd like to, you can start to walk the hands back so they're more in line with the arches of your feet. As you bring the top of the head toward the floor or a block without forcing it. And you can change the distance of your feet if you need to. So gravity is going to want to pull your shoulders down towards the floor. Use your own muscles to keep them away from the ears and away from the floor. Enjoy that flow of blood through your brain, your eyes. Lovely stretch into the inner thighs and outer ankles. As you inhale, Start to lift the chest away from the floor and walk the hands forward underneath your shoulders. Squeeze the thighs, and if you need to, you could heel toe in just a little bit. But if available, and you have that strong core, hands go to the waist and you come all the way up to standing from there. We're just going to spin around toward the back edge of our mat to move into our high lunge from here. So left knee bends, back knee straight. Option of warrior A, where you spin that heel, back heel down and in, and encourage the right hip forward, back knee straight, hands at heart center to start. So Virabhadrasana A, option of bringing the arms up, shoulders down, gaze slightly up. Breathe into the power of your warrior. Powerful energy spot at your solar plexus. Engaging here and spreading energy of strength, discipline, willpower. And now bringing the hands back to the heart. I'm going to start to take the front leg a little straighter, hands at the waist, and take that back foot in a bit and over, maybe even a little bit more to the right. As you encourage now that right hip forward, both legs are straight, and you can either take the arms behind you to hold wrist, elbows, or reverse prayer pose again. Draw the shoulders back, lift the heart center, and exhale, folding squarely over that straight left leg. Think about that left inner thigh spinning toward the back of the room so the kneecap stays facing forward. Crease at the top of the left thigh, moving toward the back of the room. And every time you do this, one leg may feel tighter or the same leg. I have an old left hamstring injury, so I know I can't go as far on this side. I respect that boundary and just breathe into it. Next inhale, lead with your heart, come all the way to standing. Exhale, release the hands back to your waist and make that quarter turn. Okay, it's time to remove these. My feet are really cold and they have sticky, but they're falling off my feet. All right, so we've got that wide stance. Take a deep breath in, reach out through the arms, heels are out wider than toes. Exhale, hands back to the waist, hinging forward. Bring the hands to the mat or your blocks. And we're going to turn the toes toward the long edge of the mat. So now the outer edges of your feet are parallel to the mat, outer or the short edges of the mat. Start to walk your hands over towards the right foot, bending into the right knee, and adjust if you need to. I'm bringing my foot in a little bit so my knee stays not here or there, but over my ankle as I drop my hips down behind me. You can stay just like this, pressing into the outer blade of that left foot. Or you could spin to the heel of that left foot, sink a little deeper, and even bring hands to heart. My elbows on the inside of the right knee, kind of giving it leverage to stay wide. Stay where you need to be. Hands back to the mat. Spin that left foot back down to the mat and start to straighten the right knee as you walk the hands over to the left, keeping your arm on the inside of that left leg. Step one is just to press into the outer blade of the right, hips are back and down, and feel a powerful stretch the right inner thigh. And you can stay right there, or you can spin toes to the sky and hands to the heart. Nice, hands back to the mat, both feet flat. Walk the hands all the way around as you spin back to the right. And bring that left foot forward to meet the right. Take the feet quite wide, about the width of your mat, and start to lower the hips. Hands are on the inside. So you can safely come all the way to the floor from here, Or if your knees allow for it, you can continue to bend into the knees, sinking the hips lower to move into Malasana. So you could practice this pose sitting on a block. The goal is to have the heels down and the outer edges of the feet parallel, moving them in a bit. Great. Press into the hands. Start to take the knees a little straighter, so you're kind of coming into a forward fold. And walk the feet to their hip width apart. Soften the knees, open the arms, and come all the way up to standing. Hands at heart center. Okay, this next pose, I'm going to turn to face you and have blocks for this first side, and the other side I'll turn sideways. This pose is a combination of a hip opener, a balance pose, and it can lead into an arm balance, which we won't do today, but some of you may know where it could go. I'm turning my blocks here. You could even turn them up higher. If you don't have blocks, you could have a chair in front of you or a wall nearby. So we're going to start by bringing our attention and weight into the left leg and just lifting the right heel off the mat, focusing on something in front to help us with our balance. You could stop anywhere along the way. Next step is to let the left thigh float up. And then open that knee to the side. Ankle is just above left knee. From here, we're going to take hands to heart center and start to take the hips back. So we're going in basically like a single leg squat. So hips have to stay back so your knee doesn't go out way past the toes. This is where it may already start to feel a stretch in the hips. And you can keep the hands here and just focus on balance, or that's where you could take the hands, almost lost my balance, to the blocks and use them for support. And that can maybe even allow you to go a little deeper. So wherever you want to be with this, but it's hard to look at the camera and do this. So checking that that left knee is not out too far. Ankles should be bent, not just a lazy foot on the right leg. And you could even take the left knee a little straighter, take it into a forward bend. There's a lot happening here. You're strengthening the left leg, you're stretching the right. You're working on balance and breathing. To come out of it, hands back to heart, and slowly lift up. Release the right foot down. Take a moment to Tadasana just to feel the difference. You can stay just as you are. I'm just turning around for the side view now. So now we'll bring weight in our right foot, toes are spread, left knee off the mat. Pick your spot to focus on. Let the left thigh float up. You could just work on balance here, or open the knee out to the side, left ankle just above right knee. Keep your left ankle flexed, bent. Hands at heart center, or on a chair or wall as you take the hips back, moving into a single leg squat. You can stay right there to work on balance, or you can take your hands to a block of the floor to go a little deeper. So this is kind of like pigeon pose, right? It's a hip opener big time. To come out of it, slowly bring hands back to heart. Straighten through the right knee and release the left leg to the mat. Hands by your side. Great. Gonna take it to the mat. So sitting on your mat with the knees bent, legs in front, we're gonna do basically what we just did in a seated position, which is also gonna be where you'll come back to if you have difficulty with your knees, when the rest of us go to regular pigeon pose. This is a seated option. So right foot can move out just a little bit for a little better balance. As you bring that left knee in, I'm just staying on that left side. And then I can use my hand to cross it over the right thigh, hands behind me, hands or fist. What that's going to do is help me leverage so that I have a strong, straight spine, really a aligned spine, rather than rounded, sinking back behind my sit bones. So I can use my hands to leverage. I could even bring my right heel in. And the more I bring my right heel in, the more I bring my chest towards that left inner shin, the more I feel the stretch. Please remember to keep your left ankle bent, not lazy. That protects your knee. So feel a pretty deep stretch through your left hip musculature, maybe some of you in your hamstring. And then you can walk the hands back a little bit, release the left leg. Do the same on the right. So hug the right knee in, keep the right ankle bent, and cross it over the left thigh. Hands or fists behind you to help leverage you to an aligned spine. Option of moving the left heel in more for a deeper stretch. So hips is where we store a lot of emotional stress and tension. So you may find sometimes in these poses, some stuff comes up. Right side tends to be more masculine stuff, left side more feminine stuff. Could be within yourself or with another person. And then you can walk the hands back and release that foot. Okay. Take the hips back. You may want your strap for Paschimottanasana. West side intense stretch pose is the official name, but seated forward fold is a little easier. On your sit bones, legs in front of you, toes to the sky, option of a slight bend in your knees so that you can align your spine. If you have a strap, you can take it around the ball of your feet, using that to encourage that the leverage of strong body, strong core. Maybe the backs of the knees float to the mat. And on your next exhale, keep the belly drawn in and bring your chest forward towards the shins. If you prefer to hold on to the feet or the big toes, you could do that. Shoulders out of ears. Just breathe, inhaling, lengthening through the spine. Exhale, sinking a little closer to the legs. On your inhale, bring the chest away from the legs. Come back up to your seated position. And now those of you that have issues with your knees, you're going to want to just stay right here and return to the hip stretch we did. If not, you can follow me along to head towards pigeon pose. So cross the feet in front, take the hands, and then make your way to downward facing dog. This time we'll start with the right leg. So if you're seated, right ankle will cross over left thigh. If you're in downward dog, right leg high. Bring the knee into chest first and bend your ankle. Then take the knee out to the right side of the shin on the floor, probably at a diagonal. So the knee is going to be closer to your wrist than the ankle is to your left wrist. Start to slide and wiggle the left leg back. Untuck the toes. Stay on top of that left leg, not out to the side as you walk the hands in. Make sure your right knee is still happy because now we're weight bearing, right? In the seated position, you don't have gravity adding to the stretch. The only time you'll take this shin more parallel to the front edge of your mat is if you don't feel a stretch, even while that right hip is down and planted on the earth. You could use a block to support it. You could use a block under this side. Okay, so find a way that you can protect your knee and feel a stretch. Option of taking yourself to the forearms, or even bringing your forehead to the mat with palms in prayer pose. As long as you're not having knee pain, you're just having sensations that are slightly what you would describe as uncomfortable. See if you can breathe through that and just surrender, relax into the pose and see what comes up. Bring awareness to every layer of this experience. Use your breath as a guide to stay smooth and slow, so you stay calm and poised. Begin to lift the head up away from the mat if you're in pigeon, and walk the hands in. If you're in a seated position, you can just come out of it. Tuck the toes under on your left foot. Step back to downward facing dog. And if you want to take that right leg up to the sky and bring it over, you could. If you were doing that seated version, you may want to go into a tabletop pose for a moment between the sides. Okay, if you're in downward dog, both feet are on the ground now. We're preparing for the left side. So if you're seated, left ankle crosses over right thigh. And for pigeon, left leg high, knee comes forward first, ankle is bent, then rotate the knee to the side of the shin to the floor. Left ankle still bent as the right leg slides back. Walking the hands in and choosing to support either side. Both feel great if you need it. If your left knee is okay with it, you can start to come forward. Again, checking that you're not rolling over to the left, staying on top of that right strong leg behind you. And moving into your full expression of the pose as you breathe and just surrender to the experience. To come out of the pose, if you're in full pigeon, walk the hands in, lift the heart up, tuck the right toes under, and step back to downward dog, lifting the left leg high, bending the knee and rolling that hip open. If you're seated, you can go back to tabletop. From downward dog, come into both feet to the mat. And just lower the knees to the mat, cross one ankle over the other, and walk the hands back. So we're all in a seated position. We're going to come down to our back for a final couple of stretches before Shavasana, deep relaxation. So if you need a blanket or bolster, you have that nearby. And then safely come down onto your back. Once all the way down, reach through fingers and toes. Exhale, hug the knees into your chest and forehead to knees. Head back to the mat, rock side to side. Bring both feet to the mat. Cross your right thigh over the left. Arms stretched out to the side. Walk your left foot, which is on the mat, over to the right and scoot your hips to the right. And then allow your knees to drop down towards the left side as you gaze to the right. Bring your knees back up, walk the left foot over, scoot the hips over and head back to center. Uncross the right and cross the left thigh over the right thigh. This time, walk the feet and the hips over to the left and allow the knees to drop towards the right. I even like to lift my right shoulder blade, scoot it to the right, and then turn my head to the left. Full deep breaths, just fully present with the experience. Inhale, bring your head back to center, your knees to the sky, realign your hips and cross the legs. You just kind of shift around to get a aligned spine. And as you move into Shavasana, use any props you need. Without props, the position would be legs or feet rather, or a little wider than hips. Knees and toes roll out to the side naturally. Arms a comfortable distance away from the body with the palms skyward. The eyes are closed. No longer trying to control the rhythm of your breath. You let it just find its natural flow. In this important pose, our body now begins to assimilate all that we've done, repairing and restoring balance. So let your body become heavy. Let the muscles release their grip from the bones. Let your tongue relax inside your mouth. And your eyes relax behind your eyelids. Let the body surrender to the stillness as the breath guides it and the mind. Place of harmony and calmness. I'll bring us all out of Shavasana shortly. You can always pause or mute me to stay as long as you like. If you're able to stay in Shavasana even longer, go ahead and mute me. If you need to come out, do so slowly. Starting to move your eyes behind your eyelids with circles, one way and then the other. Lick your lips, move your jaw. Deepen your breath. Start to wiggle fingers and toes, wrists and ankles. Gently turn your head side to side, and then back to center. Start to bend the knees, walk the feet in a little closer to your body, and lengthen the spine. One more stretch with the arms overhead, and then bend one elbow on the floor, the other will come over as you roll to your side, resting one ear on that same side arm. And then use the other hand to help press you back up to a seated position. Finding an aligned spine. Once again, become aware of the state of your body, your breath, your mind, compared to an hour ago. Recognize any shifts towards joy, calmness, happened because you were receptive to it and allowed it to occur. Now the state is a memory that you can pull up at any time. Just come back to this place and state. Making a choice to be in this place, calm, passionate joy. Hands together at heart center, offering gratitude for a blessing presently in your life, for that blessing which is soon to arrive. And gently open your eyes. Thanks as always for spending some time with me here and dedicating yourself to some wellness and self-care. Have a great rest of your day.